I still get amazed by some of the things that I see some people do.
Sex parties 39-year-old Mary Dennis admitted to having at her Southern Indiana home, all with a boy as young as 15 years old.
Do you have anything to say about what you've pled guilty to? Anything about the charges that have been made against you?
Court records say she had sexual relations with 7 teenage boys and provided alcohol. This all came to light after her own teenage daughter caught her mother in the act. Her attorney explains what may have prompted her bizarre actions.
She had had a divorce that had preceded this that was very, very difficult on her, and I'd say that contributed to some of the decision-making.
You know, there's something about these stories when you're talking about adults with children, and we look at them two different ways. I mean, if it's a grown man with little girls, we look at it one way, right? Dirty old man. If it's a woman with young boys, we look at it, boy, she's got to be ill. There's got to be something wrong with her. You know, why did that happen? And when it comes to the justice system, I've seen it time and time again. Women get treated a little differently than men do. They shouldn't. There is no difference. No difference in my eyes. Back with me tonight, clinical psychologist Michelle Gollan, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Kelly Sain, and defense attorney Drew Findling, and from Louisville, Kentucky, the attorney for Mary Dennis, Brian Butler. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to start with you, Brian. And is there an explanation here? And we heard a little piece of it, if you can get into a little bit deeper. Because when it's a man and this happens, you know, we all think he's evil, he's a pedophile, he's a dirty old man, throw him away. But when I see these cases with women, sometimes I hear more of an explanation. Is there more of an explanation for this one?
I don't think so in this case. I think the state took into account the fact that, I listened to your promo, that there are other teenagers involved, but under Indiana law, there was only one that warranted charges, and that particular individual was 15 years and 9 months old. At 16, it wouldn't have been against the law. It may be something that people would frown upon or think is immoral,
sure,
but it wouldn't have been against the law. So I think the state in this case took that into account. They certainly took into account the preferences of the young men that were involved, and they took into account about a year plus of counseling that Mary had gone into on her own accord, as well as her cooperation with law enforcement upon her first approach. So I understand what you're saying, and I certainly in 16 years have seen times where women were treated more leniently than men, but in this case, I think there was factors involved.
Yeah, you're saying these other factors may very well have played a role in it. Michelle Gollan, is it different when a grown woman does this to a young boy than when a man does it to? Because, you know, our perception, I think, is much different. Is there a different mindset that's in a woman when she's doing this and when a man is doing this?
No. It is absolutely not, Vinny, and you are right. And I think we need to keep saying this out in the media, that women can be sexual predators and sexually abused children like men do. Maybe not in the same numbers, but make no mistakes that the victim will ultimately feel victimized, because this is about power and control.